Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're decoding a blueprint for the future of AI. We're taking a landmark Stanford study and turning it into your personal, strategic guide for building the next wave of AI agents.
You've seen it, right? The AI market is just exploding. There's a flood of new AI agents, and every single one is promising to completely change the way we work. But with all this crazy growth, a really critical question pops up. Is all this innovation actually lining up with what people really need and want? I mean, are we building tools that solve actual problems, or are we just building what's technically cool?
To get a real answer to that, we're going to crack open this groundbreaking study from Stanford's Human-Centered AI Institute. See, instead of just looking at code or what's possible, they went straight to the source. They talked to over 1,500 workers in more than 100 different jobs. So this explainer right here, this is your guide to what they found. Think of it as a strategic map for any innovator, any entrepreneur, or any business leader who wants to build AI that doesn't just work, but actually wins in the real world.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with what's happening right now, this AI gold rush. Then we'll get into what workers are really asking for. After that, we'll unpack a super powerful strategic map just for you AI builders. We'll talk about moving past simple automation to something called augmentation, figure out what the new human advantage is, and then we'll tie it all together into a blueprint you can actually use.
Okay, first up, let's just set the scene. We are smack in the middle of an AI agent gold rush. Everybody's scrambling to build the next big thing, right? But this frenzy, it often leads to a tech-first approach that can completely miss the point of what's actually valuable to people. And this slide, this gets right to the core of the issue. There is a huge disconnect. The study found this absolutely startling gap. The top 10 jobs where people have the highest desire to use automation, they only make up a measly 1.26% of current AI tool usage. Just let that sink in for a second. The very people who want AI's help the most are the ones who are using it the least. And that isn't just a random statistic. It's a huge sign of a market failure and, frankly, an even bigger opportunity.
So, okay, how do we close that gap? Well, we have to start by understanding what workers actually want. And for that, we're going to turn to the heart of this research, the Workbank study.
Now, this was not some quick online poll. These researchers built a seriously rigorous, worker-focused framework. First, they went out and surveyed 1,500 workers across a massive range of jobs. Then, they developed a brand new way to measure how humans and AI can work together called the Human Agency Scale. Next, they took all that worker data and checked it against what 52 AI experts said was technically possible just to keep it grounded. Put it all together and you get the Workbank database. And you know, the first big finding might actually surprise you. Forget the whole story about people fearing automation. Turns out, workers actively want AI to take over almost half of their tasks. For 46.1% of all the tasks they looked at, workers are like, yes, please, hand this over to an AI.
But here's the crucial part. Why do they want this? The answer is incredibly strategic. The number one reason, we're talking nearly 70% of the time, was to free up their time for more important high-value work. You see, they don't see AI as their replacement. They see it as a force multiplier. It's a tool to get rid of the boring, tedious parts of their job so they can finally focus on what really counts.
But it's not a blind embrace. For the tasks they want to keep for themselves, their worries are crystal clear. Right at the top of the list, a lack of trust. They're just not convinced about AI's accuracy and reliability. That's followed by fears about job security, and then this really important one, losing the human touch, that creativity, that nuance, that control that makes them good at their job. Any AI product that's going to succeed has to tackle these issues head-on.
Okay, this is where it gets really, really good. The next slide takes all this data, what workers want and what's technically possible, and it merges them into this incredibly powerful strategic map for anyone who's building something in the AI space.
Okay, here it is, the desire capability landscape. On the vertical axis, you've got how much workers want automation, from low to high. And on the horizontal axis, you have the current technical ability of AI, rated by the experts. This little 2x2 grid, it's not just a chart. If you're an innovator or an investor, this is basically a treasure map.
Let's start with the top right. This is your green light zone. This is where high worker desire meets high AI capability. These are your immediate home runs. These are the problems workers are practically begging to have solved, and our tech is ready to handle them right now. This is where you can launch products that people will adopt in a heartbeat and that will deliver instant value. Think about stuff like scheduling really complex logistics or generating routine financial reports. People want help, and the tech is there. Go!
Now, contrast that with the bottom right.
This is the red light zone. Here, the technology is perfectly capable, but workers do not want it automated. Trying to push AI into this zone is just asking for resistance. This is the classic, just because you can doesn't mean you should area. These are tasks where people value their human touch, and automating them could totally backfire.
Okay, now, the top left quadrant. This is the R&D opportunity zone. This is where the future is being built. Worker desire is sky high, but the technology just isn't quite there yet. This represents a clear, screaming market demand that's just waiting for a technical solution. For all you entrepreneurs and VCs out there, this zone is where you find your next unicorn.
And this number should honestly blow your mind. A full 41% of venture capital investment in AI startups is currently being poured into those red light and low priority zones. That is a massive misallocation of capital. It's a huge market inefficiency. And for anyone who has this map, that's a glaring competitive advantage. While everyone else is building things people don't want, you can build what they desperately need.
So, the map tells us where to focus, but how we build is just as important. The study makes it clear that we have to move beyond this simple black and white choice of automate or not and start thinking about a whole spectrum of collaboration. And to help us do that, the researchers gave us another brilliant tool, the Human Agency Scale, or HAS. It's this powerful 5-level framework. At one end, you have H1, full automation. The AI just works by itself. On the total opposite end, you have H5, which is full human control. The AI is basically just a simple tool. And right there in the sweet spot, at H3, is a true partnership. This scale gives all of us a shared language to design for collaboration.
And here's where another huge insight just jumps off the page. When you compare what workers want with what AI experts think is possible, you see another one of these crucial perception gaps. The charts show that workers consistently want more human involvement, more agency than the tech folks assume is even necessary. People want to stay in the loop. They want to be in the driver's seat, or at least be the co-pilot, way more often than we builders tend to realize.
I mean, just look at the numbers here. It's undeniable. The most desired level of collaboration is H3, equal partnership, at over 45%. Almost nobody wants H1, where the AI just goes off on its own. The takeaway here is so clear. The biggest opportunity isn't in building autonomous replacements. It's in building powerful, collaborative partners that augment, that boost human capabilities. So, this shift toward collaboration, it doesn't just change the tools we're building, it changes the skills that we need. In an age where we have AI partners, what becomes our unique human advantage?
The data points to a massive transition. On the left side, you've got the skills tied to tasks that AI is getting really good at, things like analyzing data, processing information, documenting stuff. On the right, you see the skills for high-agency tasks, building relationships, communicating with people, guiding and motivating teams. These interpersonal, organizational, leadership skills, that's our new superpower.
Okay, let's bring it all home. We've seen the market disconnect. We have the strategic map, we know people want collaboration, and we see the shift in skills. Now, let's boil all of this down into a clear, actionable blueprint for building the future.
It really just boils down to this 4-part strategy. 1. Listen to workers first to find the real, high-value problems. 2. Use that desired capability map to target your work in the green light and R&D zones where you know people want help. 3. Design your products for collaboration. Think augmentation, not just automation. And finally, 4. For yourselves and for your teams, invest in developing those uniquely human skills because AI is only going to make them more valuable.
Look, what we've just gone through, it's not just an academic paper. It's a strategic intelligence report. It's a map for navigating the AI revolution by putting human needs right at the center. The insight is here. The opportunity is crystal clear. The only question left is, now that you have the map, what are you going to create?